Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Extra Time. This week, we've got the brilliant Bo Kearns, Liverpool player, England international. She talks about getting started in her career. So she started off as a young girl playing with the lads, how she got into Liverpool women, how she's developed into sort of the elite professional career, and she gives some really good advice to our young girls. Hiya, I'm Lizzie Doyle from the Anfield Draft. I'm the producer of the Anfield Draft podcast. So it's my responsibility to look after all the shows and all the content which we put out over there. And I'm hosting Extra Time for the Stephen Gerrard Academy this week. So this is ahead of International Women's Day, which is next Monday, the 8th of March. We're celebrating women's achievements in sport and education. So we're joined by Bo Kearns, Liverpool women's player. So any questions that you've got for me or for Bo, please do get them in on Zoom. They will then be passed on to us and we'll do our best to get through them all throughout the sort of duration of the chat. But first of all, Bo, just want to get stuck into sort of you making your way in football, a teenage Bo Kearns, playing with the lads, playing with Curtis Jones, Bobby Duncan. What was it like for you as a young girl playing with the lads, because there probably wasn't many girls teams?
I think like at the time I didn't know any difference. Like I didn't know there was girls teams and stuff, so I just see myself as one of the lads and just was playing and enjoying it. And like I just loved playing football, so it didn't phase me much if it was just with boys or with girls, because at that time I didn't know any different.
Well, what sort of challenges did you have when you were facing the lads? So, like, did they treat you any differently when you were playing with them? Like, did they say, "Oh, don't go in on a tackle with her because she's a girl," or anything like that? Or did you sort of just did you feel like you were just exactly the same as them?
I think because when we was younger and stuff, we was like 6, 7, 8. Like it weren't the difference between male football and girl football at the time. Was it's when you're that young, it's you can't tell the difference because the boys haven't fully developed where they're faster and stronger. So it just went down to like your technical ability. And at the time I was on the same page as them all and I could do just as good as a job. So I didn't get seen to be different, or like they'd still tackle me the same and stuff because they didn't see it any different neither.
So, did you realize like you were talented and that you could go on to play football when you were playing as a young girl with these lads? And like, were you playing with other talented lads as well?
Yeah, like when we was playing at Moscow, we had a proper strong team, as you just said, Curtis Jones, Bobby Duncan, but there was other like top players in the team, and we was that team that would win 6-7-0 every week, and there was always people watching us and stuff. And I didn't realise at the time you could go far with football. Like I didn't think, oh, I've always thought like, oh, I want to play for Liverpool and stuff, but at the time you didn't think, oh, there's a women's team and this, that, and the other. But one day I was lucky and there was a Liverpool scout watching, but he was probably watching for the boys. And at the end, he approached and said, "We've got a girls' team if you want to go and trial for." And they got my details and stuff. And then that's when I found out that there was like a women's academy team. But at the same time, Tony Duggan had sorted me trials for Everton. So, like, I went to the two of them, but that was the year I found out like I could play with girls, and it it was like, whoa, I didn't know that.
So, what age were you when you found that out?
Um, I, I went to trials when I was 8,
Mm,
so around 8. So I was just
eight and
playing with
nine.
the lads, thinking, oh, I'm going to be playing with the lads till I'm older.
We've had a question in from Ronan who said, "Did you feel motivated to try harder because you were playing with the boys or the lads?"
I think at the time you just don't think about it. You're just playing a game of footy. Like I'd play footy every single day. Like never got tired when you was a kid, and like I just seen them as the same as me. I didn't think, oh, they're boys. Like, oh, I didn't know no different.
So you joined LFC at like the age of 8 and you've gone through from that age. But you studied BTEC sport at college. So say for example, if it didn't work out at LFC Women, where do you reckon you'd be now with that sort of qualification? What would you have liked to have done with that qualification? Because there's loads, isn't there, that you can do career-wise with football?
Yeah, well, last year I went to John Moore's uni for a year. Well, I didn't finish the year because I found out like it weren't for me. But with that BTEC sport, I realised I could go to uni, and I studied sports coaching for a few months. And when I was doing my BTEC and stuff, I've never really been highly on education, but as Liverpool made me do it, and they told me the importance and stuff of it, where now that I've got that college BTEC, I know that if in a few years uni's for me, I can go and do any degree and stuff I want. And just at the time, like now, I'm not ready for it, but I've still got that qualification where I can go back in 10 years if I want. So it just shows how important it is. And when you know what you want to do, you can use it any time now that I've got it. Where if I never got that, say if I got, touch wood doesn't happen, but an injury or something, you need something to fall back on, where now that I've been pushed and got it, I know that it's there whenever I need it.
So do you feel like that's an important sort of part now of just being a young person, never mind a young woman or a young boy, like going into football at such a like high level in terms of like a high football team, for them to give you other options, to encourage you into education, to encourage you to chase some other stuff alongside it? Because, you know, we do hear of a lot of times where, you know, young players fall out the game and they're not really kept up to date with stuff. So do you think that's like something that more clubs should be pursuing, to make sure that people are engaged with like more education alongside it?
Like, I'm still young, so I'm still not proper. Like, if you ask me education, I'm like, oh, like, I don't enjoy doing it. Like most people, probably the same as me who on the call, because they're all like my age, and I had to get proper push to go to college and stuff. Like when I was in school, I used to hate going. I just wanted to go to training and stuff. But now that it's been drilled into me, the importance of it and how fast things can change, like you're seeing especially like Corona now, seasons we could have had a year off where no football, where I'm lucky I'm still playing, where if that was the case, I might have had to go down education with women's football not being as big and stuff. It might have fell through, but we're lucky that it hasn't. So I might have had to use that then. So it just shows how much you've got to take into account and actually just bite your lip and do it.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really good point, to be honest. I just want to touch on when you first got your professional contract then. So like, how did that feel? Because you're a massive Red, aren't you? Like grew up supporting the Reds, watching them and all that. So what did it feel like when you first put pen to paper for that contract?
It just showed like all my hard work and stuff had paid off. So it was like a proud moment for me, and I didn't want to sign a professional contract or play for anyone else. So for me, it was a dream come true. Like that's what I wanted to do when I was playing. When I was 6, 7, I wanted to play for Liverpool. So to finally get offered my professional contract where football's my job, like it just shows that all the years and stuff I've put into it have paid off.
Did you set yourself any goals when you signed your professional contract? Did you think like at this age I want to do this, or any competitions you want to win? Like what was your goals when you first signed your contract?
When I first signed my contract, I weren't fully in the team. So my next goal was to break into the team. I can be a regular and stuff, and then make sure I got offered a new contract, because just because you get one doesn't mean you're guaranteed for the rest of your career. You might not, if you're not performing, you won't get another one. So it just shows you've got to put in hard work every single day, and every game's still like a trial, even though I've got a contract, because at the end of the day, like mine runs out the end of the season. So you've got to make sure that you're doing enough to then get offered another one and keep progressing. So like you've got to set targets and make sure that you're working hard and achieving them.
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes, doesn't it? And we've had a question in from Tom Sheeran, who says, what was your favourite or most difficult match in your career?
My favourite match would probably be just after Christmas. I started against Leicester, and I hadn't been before Christmas, like with the manager and stuff, I hadn't been playing, and I thought myself I deserved a chance. Like I was doing well in training and stuff, but things weren't just going into plan for me, and the assistant took over for the time being, and I got a chance to start, and my first 90 minutes in the league this season, and I scored. So for me, it was just like proving a point. And then my worst was probably be in the Euros at under-17s. We was in the semi-finals against Germany. I snapped my ankle after 15 minutes, and we ended up, it was 0-0, but we ended up losing in the semi-finals, and like I was out for 6 to 9 months with my ankle after it, so it was just like hard to take.
Well, you talked there, I was going to come on to this later, but we'll do it now. You talked there about, getting an injury. I mean, how old were you at the time when you got that injury?
16, just about to turn 17.
So you pick up an injury like that at that age where everything sort of that's when everything starts to go professional, isn't it, around that age? And what was it like for you getting an injury like that and that setback? Like, how did you overcome that knowing you were so close to getting a professional contract?
I think at the time, like before I went to the Euros, I'd just started training with the first team and stuff like that season. So it was in the May, the end of the season. So we was going on like pre-season tour with the first team, and I'd already been asked to go on it. So when it happened, I was like gutted because we'd just been knocked out the Euros and stuff. But then I had motivation to get back fit, to make sure I was fit and ready to go on tour with the first team, which is in a few months after it. So I just had to whoa, what have I done?
Technology probs.
Oh, I've lost you. I know there you are. To make sure that I was motivated and doing my rehab and stuff, and it was tough because it was the end of the season, so I had to do it on like Zoom calls and stuff because we weren't in, and I had to make sure I was doing all my prep and stuff, and it was hard. But then as soon as we went back in, it was a lot easier because you're getting one-to-one support and stuff, and I was around the girls then, so it was much easier.
So just on the pandemic as well, well, it's sort of on the pandemic, but we've had a question in from Jade. She said, outside of the pandemic, what does a typical week look like for you in regards to team training, team meetings and recovery days? So obviously at the moment, it's all a bit tough, isn't it? And when football got called off for a little bit, it all changed. But what's it like for you day to day? What's a week look like for you?
So a Monday I'd be off, but we might have like a Zoom recovery or whatever, but I don't have to go into training. A Tuesday I'm in for a team meeting, light session, and then we'd have upper body after our light session. A Wednesday I'd be in for a high session. We'd have a team meeting before high session, so be like tough, just as hard as a game.
Yeah.
We'd have our food and stuff, and then we'd do lower body. Then I'd get Thursday off. Then Friday's like a moderate day, and like start doing team prep ready for the game on the Sunday. Saturday, literally dead light, set pieces and stuff, like shape, and then Sunday a game. So I get 2 days off a week, and our days are like we're in for 9:30 and we'd finish around 2. So it's not too bad.
I mean, it's interesting because I think, like, for people who might not know the sort of life of a footballer, you'd think you'd be playing like 11 aside every day, but you're taking it. There's a lot of care there now, isn't there? And obviously now the women's game's gone professional, which is a huge step in women's football. All the sort of care and due diligence around sports science is a really big thing, and a lot of the girls at the Stephen Gerrard Academy are benefiting from sports science equipment such as like analysis, GPS devices. So how important do you think that sports science is in the game to develop players and to get them fitter and to get them better at the game?
Like for me, say what I've used from it. So every session we'll wear GPSs and we wear these tags on our feet, which tell us how many times we touch the ball with left foot, right foot, and how hard we kick it with both feet. So at the end of each session, about an hour after we finish, we'll get through our session report. So we'll get told how much we covered, how much high speed distance we covered, what max speed we hit in the session, like how many accel decels we hit, and then we'll also find out how many times you touch the ball and stuff. And I think every day you look through it, and I think most girls would be the same in my team, and you see like, did I run faster than such and such? And it gets not competitive, but it shows like our work in the gym, say, seeing if we're getting faster, are we covering more than people, and where your body's at for what recovery then we'll have to do for the next day. Because when you're in the session, you might not feel like you've ran much, but that shows you have. So we need to make sure we eat the right foods after to recover, because we're back in the next day, and it might be after cover, say we covered 8K on Tuesday, we might have to cover 10K on the Wednesday. So you need to make sure you're prepped and prepared, where if we didn't have that information, you wouldn't really know, and you wouldn't know where you was at.
I mean, it's one of those things where I imagine it helps you to improve, because we were talking about setting goals with your contract, but it could just be goal setting day to day, week to week, where I hit this amount, I want to hit a higher amount next week, or like you say, I want to eat better. I suppose it sort of keeps you in check a little bit as an athlete.
Yeah, like for me, say one of my targets this year was to get faster. So every day, like if we're doing sprints in the warm up and stuff, we're working on stuff in the gym, which will help my hamstrings, say. So then I'm seeing it on data after sessions. Am I getting faster? Like it's there in black and white. So you're seeing if your hard work's actually paying off. So it goes to show the technology, what the college uses as well, is important.
There's another question here, sort of related again from Jade about pre-season. So obviously, like a lot of the stuff we've spoken about there, what is the typical pre-season for a footballer? Like what actually gets worked on before the season? Like how does that help you when you go into a competitive season, and what do you take from it?
Our days in pre-season are different. So the first day back, we'll do fitness testing and we'll run an MAS thing, which is touchline to touchline. You have to run 12 times as fast as you can. And once we've done that, we get like a base score. And then every session then we'll do stuff to then fitness, which will then improve at the end of the session, which will then improve that score. So at the end of pre-season, we'll see if we've got fitter and stuff. And the main focus in pre-season is getting the baseline of how we're going to set up for the season, but also like a baseline of fitness where we're ready to compete and win. Where when we first come back in, we're just ready to train. We're not ready to win matches, say, like our fitness levels. So pre-seasons to then we get like 6 weeks together where new players might come in. So it's getting them used to the way we play and getting everyone up to the same standard of fitness level, so we're all on the same page.
Great. And Jade, who we've just who had those questions from, would like to come on camera and ask a question to you, Bo, as well. If Jade wants to come on.
You're right, Bo. Obviously, we all have different role models, different kind of influences from different people. Who influenced you, and why?
I think when I was younger, I'd say Steven Gerrard, because like I used to just watch him all the time and just think, wow, like the things he's done for Liverpool. But like a personal one, like if you know women's football's Tony Duggan. When I was younger, she used to go to the youth club by mine, and she got me trials for Everton and stuff, and like seen my potential and was always wanting me to do better, taking extra time out of her day after training to come to youth club and do sessions and stuff with me. And like it goes to show how much like little bits of information can actually help, and like a role model, someone to look up to. Like if Tony was still in England now, I might have played against her, and it goes to show my hard work from 10 years ago, say, it can pay off and I can get to where the person I'm looking up to is at.
I mean, it's really like an important thing, isn't it? That like people have got people like yourselves now. I know you'll probably be too humble to sort of say, but like, women's football is a visual now, and loads of people can see them and can aspire to be like you. I mean, like you said, it was you had sort of Steven Gerrard growing up, which is brilliant. But if you would have had maybe a Tony Duggan at a younger age, hopefully, more girls would have come through. But there's a good question sort of related to this again from Lauren, about what advice would you give to young girls in today's society?
I think the best advice I'd give is that now that the women's game and stuff's growing, you never know who's watching your games and stuff, and that if you keep working hard and playing well, there's a pathway there that you can reach your dreams and stuff. And as long as you're performing and stuff, there's opportunities, and the game's growing, so it's going to get better and better, and it's going to get bigger. So if you're doing well and working hard, there's no doubt that you can get far and use what you've got.
And just in terms of your England career, like how did that feel when you first got your call up? Because I think like for me and a lot of people, we saw a lot of women's football not too long ago with the Lionesses being on the telly and the Women's World Cup. So did that feel like a really big deal for you when you got that shout?
Yeah, I think like it's an honour to play for England. I was 15 under 15s when I got my first call up, and like it's like it's where I've got Liverpool and you work through the age groups. It's the same at England, but it's with different players from different teams. So when I've received my first call up on the 15s, it's like I'm getting picked for, there's 20 players at my age getting picked across the country, and it goes to show, and like in my position there's like 4 players, so it goes to show I mean must be in like the top 4 for my age, and then to get picked for every age group, and you get opportunities to like travel the world and stuff, compete in tournaments. It's like unbelievable experiences, and like I'll never forget them.
Brilliant. We've got another question from Charlotte, who wants to come on and ask you herself. Charlotte wants to turn a video on to ask Bo a question.
On mute. I just wanted to ask, do you think going to America is like a good step to get into the professional game, or do you know anyone who's been to America?
A few girls in my England team, when I started to sign my professional contract, they chose to go to America and study and do uni there. And goes to show there's players coming back after getting degrees. You can come back and get a professional contract straight after, or you can stay in America and get one. So there is opportunities there, like if that's what you want to do. And I think it's very good because you play, when you go to America, you play 2 games a week. My cousin who went to the college is gone, and he's a boy, Louis, and he's playing 2 matches a week and he's getting a degree, and hopefully he could get picked up by a team over there and stuff. So I think it's a good opportunity, and the things he tells me, it sounds brilliant. You get like a good lifestyle and stuff, but I just weren't as interested in the education side, so that's why I didn't consider it. But I know loads of people who've went and love it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charlotte. Yeah, everyone's, dead proud of Louis, your cousin, and I've been told to ask who's the better player out of you and him.
I'm the better player, he's the better at the school stuff.
Listen, you want to be better at the football anyway, that's the most important thing. There's another couple of questions, I'll go through them because I want to make sure they get asked. So from Paige, and this is something actually I'd really like to know, because I watched this game. So what was it like playing at Anfield, and especially when it was a derby?
I think it was like a big step in women's football to get the opportunity to play on the men's pitch, and everyone was like overwhelmed with how many people come to watch us and stuff, and it was like an unbelievable experience. Like I've played on it when I was a kid, but it's not the same when there's fans and stuff in the stadium and it's 11 aside playing 90 minutes.
We've got another one so it sort of feeds into the sports science and the pre-season, but from Cara, what's your favourite pre-game meal?
Say if we're kicking off at like, it depends what time we're kicking off. So if it's like a 2 o'clock kickoff, say, I'd have breakfast, say about 9 o'clock, but then I'd have a pasta about 12. I love tuna pasta or any pasta.
I mean, there's I'm always like curious about this because I remember Wayne Rooney, I think, talking about the fact that when you play an early kickoff, like a 12 or a half 12, you're like eating pasta at like 7 in the morning.
It's horrible. We have to, like, if we're away, especially, you can't get away with it. So kicking off at 12 o'clock, we've got to go to breakfast dead early. So we have breakfast, and then about 9 o'clock, we've got to eat chicken and pasta and stuff. I don't really like that, but if you're at home, it's a home game, you can eat what you want and they don't really know.
I mean, it sounds like my type of breakfast, to be honest. I'd have a chicken pasta at 7 in the morning. Just a little bit on more so the situation at the moment, just in general, like how's lockdown been for you? Because obviously we're all here now over a Zoom. Ideally, we'd all be in this building, we'd be having a chat, but like we're all in the same position, unfortunately. And how have you found it?
I think it's been tough, to be honest. Like for me, I'm lucky to still be able to go to work and stuff, but due to it, I'm not allowed to mix with any of my normal friends. So since I've been back at football, I haven't seen none of my friends from outside of football for couldn't tell you how long, because we're in a bubble and we get 2 COVID tests a week, and with the government guidelines, I'm not allowed to mix. Like, so I'm not getting a break from football, really. They're the only people I'm mixing with. So all the other girls live in the same apartment block, but I'm lucky I'm still at home. So I do get like a little break where I'm with my family and stuff, but like they must be finding it so tough, and like everyone on this call must be, where they're not allowed to go to college, and they're just like, we're quite lucky that we can go to work. So but it is being tough.
I mean, and you've just said something there, which is interesting. It's been a conversation that's been around for the last couple of months. You know, you just said I don't get a break from football. And I think people forget that, don't they? Like, what's it like as a professional footballer playing in these empty grounds, the relentless football, the way the season's really uncertain because games could be postponed. Like, what's it been like playing in the middle of a pandemic?
It's completely different, but like, you just play each game as if you at least were getting to play. But it's not the same without no fans, and like, it's not as like, we got relegated because the league got postponed. So like, we was like, oh, that's not our fault. We didn't play all our matches. We still had like 8 or something matches to play. So it just goes to show that it's uncontrollable, and you've just got to get on with it and be privileged that we're still getting to play.
That's the thing. I know it's still hard though, isn't it? 'Cause like you say, you're spending the time with the same people all the time, and I think we're all in the same boat, like you said. There's another question from Jade for me, which is very nice. So she said, confidence is something I assume is a major part of your job role currently. Is this something you've always had or something you've had to learn over time? It's funny because I think like people think I've got like a ton of confidence when I don't know. I don't know if I'd sort of like put it on a little bit and blag it. I've been a football fan like since I can remember, a bit like you, Bo, and it's quite like intimidating when you talk about football for the first time on like a really public forum, because I think as a woman, as a young woman as well, you know, there's not much margin for error. Like when a woman is talking about football, especially like pundits, like I've seen Alex Scott and Karen Carney getting a lot of stick for stupid little things. But it is something you have to learn over time. The more that you do, the better you'll get. And I think, like Bo said before, like, take risks. You know, there are people out there doing these amazing things already. There's women for you to follow in footsteps of now, and like you literally can do anything, and you will come up against obstacles. You will come up against people who will question you, but like you have got a right to be where you are. You've got a right to have an opinion. And you can do it just as much as anybody. So that's what I'd say, is sometimes you've just got to sort of knock through a couple of walls and just believe in yourself, really, and you'll get to where you want to be eventually. So I hope that answers your question, Jade. And another question in for you, Bo. So who's the best player you've come up against?
I think the best player I've played against, Lucy Bronze. She's at City now, but she's won the Champions League for Lyon. She's been to all top tournaments.
You win the FIFA Best Awards as well, was it? Yeah. I think, yeah.
She's next level.
Who is there at the moment? Obviously, you just said Lucy Bronze, but like, who is there in the game like right now who's playing, who you think is like the person you would love to come up against, so you've not come up against yet?
There's loads like who play for the American national team who I'm like, wow, the next level. But loads of them have started to come over to the WSL. So when we played against City, I got to play against World Cup winners, Rose Lavelle. And it was just a great experience. They've won World Cups numerous of times, and I got to play against them.
What's your ambitions for like the next couple of years? I don't want to do that thing of where do you see yourself in 5 years' time, but like, are you like, the way you've said straight away, you talked about Tony Duggan, Scouser, Stephen Gerrard, Scouser, is your thing of like, I want to stay at Liverpool, I want to get Liverpool back up into the WSL, and I want to be captain and stay there forever? Or would you potentially look at a move to somewhere else and maybe playing for like a Lyon or something like that? What are you sort of looking at?
I think because I'm a Liverpool fan and stuff, I want to play for Liverpool, but then like every game I just want to play for Liverpool, but then you never know what might happen next year. I might have to do what's best for me, and like, you've just got to take each season as it comes. But at the time being, I just want to be at Liverpool, and I like being at home with my family and playing for Liverpool, really.
Well, listen, it's with being a Scouser, it's hard to come away from Liverpool, isn't it? Like you say, you've been there now. How many years have you been there? Is it 11?
Simon, I was 8, so I'm nearly 20, so nearly 12 years.
So you come up, you were coached by Vicky, who then brought you through to the first team. You've obviously got a good relationship with Vicky. So like, how was that to go from being such a young girl, getting coached by her, and then she becomes first team manager, and then, you know, you're playing under her? You've both sort of gone on a journey.
I think it was good because since a young age, Vicky's tested me and stuff. And when I did start breaking through to the first team, I didn't just get milk fed it by Vicky. She used to test me, and I was on the bench for ages. And like I'd get opportunities here and there, but it weren't just because I've come through with it. She'd just be like, "Yeah, Bo." Like I had to earn a professional contract offer. I had to earn minutes on the pitch. Like, but that tested me even more and wanted me to push on to be even better.
Would you ever see yourself working in the media longer term? So obviously, when a player's sort of professional career ends, there's like a couple of different avenues to go down, like coaching or whatever. But obviously, punditry is like a big thing at the moment. Is that something you think you'd like to do maybe after you've finished?
Yeah, like I've spoke about it before with like people at Liverpool, like the interviews and stuff, and they've mentioned the same to me and they've said because you understand football and stuff, would you be interested in doing it? And I think because I love football so much, not even just Liverpool, I can watch any game of football and like it interests me. Like I'd love to do something like that. I love speaking about football and analysing the game and stuff.
And what would you like to see happen long term for women's football in terms of like, well, sort of anything really? I mean, obviously you're in it, you see it, and what's the sort of long term goal for you? What you would like to see?
I'd like to just see it keep developing as it is, and it's going quicker and quicker, and hopefully start to see increases of people taking part, make it harder to break through and stuff, and get it more competitive like the men's and more recognised. Where like you're starting to see now it's always on the TV and stuff, but like I'd love to see it where it's equal amounts, where there's equal amounts of games on the TV each week, and hopefully it just keeps growing and stuff.
And what would you also say to people who might not have watched some women's football games? So myself, like I was quite new to women's football this year. I really enjoyed coming down to watch it at Prenton Park. I'm lucky enough I've got a press pass, so I've been able to come and watch. But these people who sort of have a couple of question marks over watching it, what would you say to them? Because at the end of the day, it's a game of footy, isn't it?
Yeah, I think like because I've always watched men's football like since a young age, the only difference is what I see in it. Like technical and like the way we play and stuff's the exact same, but the only difference is the speed and like of the play and the physicality. Like, well, obviously not as quick and as fast and as strong as boys, but we're all as quick and as fast and as strong as each other. So that's the only difference. What if people have never watched it before, they might think it looks a bit slower, but the way we're playing and stuff's still the exact same, and we've still all got the same mindset as what a male footballer has got.
Yeah, it's just getting better and better, which is great. And I just want to finish off, Bo, with just a question, basically to say, is there any advice that you can offer the students at Steven Gerrard Academy, and particularly, you know, the young talented girls who are on this call?
I think that if you want to be a footballer or whatever you want to do, if you work hard and put in the effort, there's nothing stopping you really. And I think it doesn't matter what age you are, it's never too late. So there could be girls on this call who want to say play in the top league like me, and it's never too late. Like you can still get picked up. So just keep working hard, keep doing what you're doing, and you never know what can happen. And same with the education. If you work hard and do it all properly, there's nothing stopping you going and doing whatever you want to do.
Brilliant. As you've just said there from Bo, you know, just chase after your dreams. Bo, thanks so much for joining us. If you'd like to join us again for more guest speakers, please follow our social media. So that's at stevengerrard.academy and at LLS online. You can turn on the post notifications. It's keep up to date with the announcements. So there's still places available for September 2021. So if you haven't applied yet, please feel free to direct message us on Instagram. Bo, thanks so much for joining us.